present them in their criminal court case. Cornelius Smith, he showed up today with a hired attorney. That attorney happens to be Michael Scholl. Scholl told us that he's been in contact with Cornelius Smith's family for quite some time now, a couple of weeks, matter of fact. Justin Johnson, he again showed up today with no lawyer hired on.
The air in the Memphis courtroom was heavy that day. You could feel the tension. Thick, unspoken, dangerous. Every eye in the room was locked on one man, Cornelius Smith, one of the two men accused of gunning down young Dolph. For years, his name had floated around the streets, whispered in barbershops, argued over on corners. But now, here he was in the flesh, sitting in the witness box, ready to do something nobody thought he'd ever do. He was about to break. Not just break, fold completely. And when he folded, he spilled everything. It started small, straightforward. They showed him the surveillance footage. November 17th, 2021, Makita's homemade butter cookies. A bright Memphis day turned dark. The last few moments of Adolph Thornton Jr.'s life. The prosecutors paused the video. "Is that you?" one of them asked. Smith didn't even blink. "Yeah, that's us right there. Stop it here. It's me." No hesitation, no attempt to play dumb. Just cold confirmation. That was him. That was the car. Those were the guns. But what came next is what shook the entire trap music scene to its core. Smith didn't just confess to firing shots through that bakery glass. He went further. He named names. Claimed the order to kill Dolph came straight from Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's own brother. And, according to Smith, Gotti himself was behind it all. That claim, those few words, were enough to send ripples through every block in Memphis, through every DM, every group chat, every backroom conversation. If what Smith said was true, one of the city's most powerful music figures could be facing cuffs. To understand the weight of those words, you have to step back. Go years into the past. Back to when Dolph and Gotti's paths first crossed. The year was 2014. Dolph had just dropped high-class street music 4. American Gangster, a project that was making noise in the streets and online. Gotti, already a Memphis heavyweight, saw the potential and made his move. Offered Dolph a deal with his label, CMG. On paper, it looked like a smart career move, but Dolph turned it down. Not because he didn't respect Gotti's position, but because he believed in building his own empire, paper route empire, from the ground up. He didn't want to be under another rapper's shadow. In his mind, he could make it without a cosign. That decision, simple as it might have seemed at the time, planted a seed. And in the cutthroat Memphis trap scene, that seed grew into something deadly. By 2016, Dolph was making it clear where he stood. He took to Twitter, saying Gotti had gone from being his #1 fan to his biggest hater. Then came King of Memphis, an album title that was more than just branding. It was a direct challenge to Gotti, who had long claimed that title for himself. From there, things got messy. Gotti's artist, Black Youngsta, jumped into the feud. In 2016, he posted threats online and even pulled up to Dolph's neighborhood strapped. It stopped being about lyrics and started being about firepower. In February 2017, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Dolph's bulletproof SUV was lit up with over 100 rounds. He survived. Not only that, he performed that night. It was the kind of move that made his legend grow. But the danger didn't stop. In September that year, he was shot outside a Hollywood shoe store and rushed to the hospital. LAPD briefly named Gotti a person of interest, but later cleared him. Through all of this, Dolph kept going, kept making music, kept making money, kept building paper route empire. But according to prosecutors, certain people saw that as a threat. A problem that needed a permanent solution. And this is where Cornelius Smith's testimony comes in. In court, he laid out what prosecutors say was a murder-for-hire plot. Anthony Big Jook Mims allegedly put a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. Hernandez Govan, a man with deep connections in both the streets and the music industry, acted as the middleman. Smith claimed he and Justin Johnson, better known on the streets as Straight Drop, were promised $40,000 each. Govan would get $20,000. And here's the part that chilled everyone. Smith testified that Johnson's CMG record deal depended on carrying out the hit. Killing young Dolph wasn't just about revenge or money. It was pitched as a ticket to stardom. November the 17th, 2021. According to Smith, they spotted Dolph through the bakery window. Smith got out first, Draco in hand, firing through the glass. Johnson followed with a handgun. Inside, Marcus Thornton, Dolph's brother, returned fire. It was chaos, bullets flying in both directions. Smith says he didn't realize they'd been hit until they got away and saw the damage. Bullet holes in the car, holes in their clothes. Johnson was hit in the back. Smith caught one in the leg. Still, they made their escape in that stolen white Mercedes. The investigation that followed was relentless. Surveillance footage, cell phone tower pings, Smith's fingerprints in the getaway car, every piece built a tighter net around them. But Johnson didn't exactly lay low. Just 5 days after the murder, he dropped a track called Stepped On, wearing a paper route Empire chain in the video. Prosecutors called it a calculated flex. While still on the run, he released Track Hawk with lyrics like, "Spot something moving, then I'm firing," and 50 shots in 20 seconds. To make it worse, on Instagram, he posted that he'd turn himself in, even naming the jail's address. It was all but a confession. On September 26, 2024, the gavel came down. Life in prison, plus 50 years for Justin Johnson. Dangerous offender. No regard for human life. But that was only part of the story. Cornelius Smith, whose testimony helped lock Johnson away, still had his own trial set for November 2025. And Hernandez Govan's day in court was scheduled for July 2025. But in Memphis, courtrooms don't always get the last word. Out on the streets, justice moves faster. The day after Dolph was killed, Memphis saw an eruption of violence. More than a dozen people shot in a single night. 3 dead. And over the next 3 years, one by one, people connected to the case started getting picked off. Anthony Big Jook. Mims, the man Smith claimed gave the order, was shot and killed outside a Memphis restaurant in January 2024. Some called it revenge. Others thought it was a cleanup, making sure certain people couldn't talk. Darian Damun Childs, a comedian who joked online about Dolph's death, was killed soon after his posts went viral. Big Nutsi, socially linked to Straight Drop, was shot in January 2022. Joshua CEO Tay Taylor, tied to local gangs and named as a figure in the plot, was found dead not long after. Prosecutors also revealed there had been a $50,000 bounty on Key Glock, Dolph's cousin and closest collaborator. This wasn't just about Dolph, it was about dismantling Paper Route Empire completely. Glock, now carrying the weight of the label, has kept his words guarded but honest. In one rare interview, he admitted he can't shake the loss. He remembers being at home when the call came. He didn't even need to hear the details. Just the way his name was called told him it was bad. When asked how he's coping, his answer was simple and heavy. He's not getting better, not getting worse, just existing. Dolph's fiancée, Mia J., has been equally candid. She's spoken publicly about feeling excluded from the legal process, finding out updates from the news instead of authorities. Even Justin Johnson's half-brother, Jarkus Johnson, got caught up, pleading guilty to helping hide him after the murder. As the trials for Smith and Govan approach, there's hope for more answers about who else was involved, how high the conspiracy went, and whether this was all part of a larger plan to erase Paper Route Empire. But the reality is, the damage is already done. Young Dolph, one of Memphis's most loved and respected artists, is gone. Multiple families are shattered. The city has been forced to confront the brutal reality of how the music industry and street politics can intertwine until the line between business and bloodshed disappears entirely. And that's the thing about this story. It's not just about one murder. It's about a feud that started with a business decision and spiraled into years of tension, violence, and retaliation. It's about how pride, money, and power can turn friends into enemies, and how those enemies can set events in motion that change a city forever. In Memphis, the echoes of that day at Makita's still hang in the air. And until every piece of the puzzle is revealed, if it ever is, those echoes will keep bouncing through the streets, reminding everyone that in this game, nothing is ever just business.